All right, this is the most spur-of-the-moment random podcast I've ever made, and I genuinely mean it. If you enjoy my sports talk, do not listen to this episode. This episode is purely for me, and if it gets 0 views, and 0 listens on Spotify, I will 100% understand. But this is just weighing on me, and I had to put this out there. So, and you're probably thinking, oh, Ryan's going to talk about something pretty serious. No, I'm not. This is something that literally only relates in my brain, and I just really felt like talking about it to the point where I couldn't even wait I couldn't even wait for this week's episode of NFL Talk, or maybe I'd record it separately and tag it on the end of the MLB Talk I'm going to do with Andy and RJ at the start of this week. Go Guards, by the way, they play today. They got to come back. Oh, crap, there you go. I talked about sports. I wasn't planning on doing that in this episode because I was literally sitting here. I was planning on editing a skit. I got a new skit. It's going to be coming out on the other channel, Ryan Klinger on YouTube. It's linked in It's linked on Spotify. It's linked in the description on YouTube also. So if you're interested in my skits, go over, check me out on there. If you're not interested, no worries. If you're interested in listening to this episode, I'm already like a minute and a half in, and I haven't even talked about what we're going to talk about. This is so niche, but I had to get this. I've been thinking about this so much. All right, here we go. So my buddies and I have, I don't know how this running gag even started, but I think it started off because like one time my friend Ian was talking about him and his buddies back home. Anytime somebody's talking about like college or something like that, they're like, oh yeah, you go there and you're a janitor, and sometimes there's math problems left up on the board and you solve them, and then the professor noticed. And so the joke is that it's Good Will Hunting, right? So Ian, one time we were talking to somebody and they were like, yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble in math class. And Ian, as a joke, was like, but, you started working as a janitor and you went in there and started solving them and da-da-da, and that was funny. Well, now it's evolved into when we hang out, we just quote Good Will Hunting randomly whenever it can relate. So, like my boy's wicked smart and the whole, yeah, at least I won't be unoriginal. You come in here, you're quoting, something along the line, whatever the hell that scene. What does he say exactly? And he's like, you spent $150,000 on education. You could have gotten the library the $1.50 in late fees. Just all those lines. We've pretty much decided it's like the most quotable movie of all time. And I honestly think it is. I don't understand how it's the most quotable movie of all time. I want to say I have watched Good Will Hunting one time, and it was like my freshman year of high school. And I was only half paying attention. And I still think it's the most quotable movie of all time. And it's just funny to quote because everything's in those Boston accents. So it's so much fun to be like, my boy's wicked smart anytime he's whipping something out. Or if you're talking to a guy and he's like running down some NFL thing and you can tell the dude got it from a podcast or something, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's your contention. You listen to Pat McAfee show and you start quoting that, and you could have done all that for $1.50 in late fees at the local library. Doesn't exactly make the most sense, but this is how we entertain ourselves. I think this joke's very funny. I honestly think it's like the most quotable movie ever. So you're like, Ryan, did you make this podcast to say Good Will Hunting is the most quotable movie ever? A little bit, yeah, because I don't know why, but it's so funny to me, and it's such a funny movie to quote to people. I don't know why. It's just funny to me. But that's not the main point of this podcast. Another thing that's not the main point of this podcast is that Christopher Nolan's next movie is going to come out summer 2026. Obviously, I'm going to go see it. Cannot wait. What would I like to see from him? I want to see his marriage story, his Kramer versus Kramer. I want like a down-to-earth drama from him. Matt Damon is the only actor that's been cast in it. I'm assuming Cillian Murphy will probably be in there. I'd love for him to work with Casey Affleck again. I think Casey Affleck did great work in Oppenheimer. I think Casey Affleck's really good. And it's not just because he says my boy's wicked smart and throws peanuts in his mouth, but that is like his best line ever. But Nolan, maybe my mom thinks maybe he's going to do a Western next. I would love for that, but I don't really see Damon being your guy for a Western. I would just be very surprised. I'd love to see Nolan do a Western. I think it'd be really cool if Nolan did a crime movie. Obviously, he did that very early in his career with Memento and Insomnia and then the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, the Dark Knight is an excellent crime film. That's what the Dark Knight is. It's just like the Batman is a detective film. The Dark Knight is a crime film. The Dark Knight is Heat with Batman. That is literally how it feels, like its vibe. If you've watched Heat and you've watched Batman, I mean, obviously you've watched Batman. You know what I mean. if you watch Heat, you watch Dark Knight, you're like, oh, he liked Heat and he made Batman. Just like if you watch Seven and you watch the Batman, you'd go, oh, well, he liked Seven and he made it with Batman. That's how Matt Reeves did it. Now, granted, me personally, if you said, what should Batman stories be based off of? Seven or Heat, I would definitely say Seven. I think Seven makes more sense as a Batman, something to do an homage to. Because The Long Halloween, even though I've owned it for years, I really need to read it. Probably would really like it. A very famous Batman story. That's considered one of the best Batman stories, and it is very much a detective crime thing like Seven. There's not a lot of Batman stories that are like Heat. I also like the movie Seven more than Heat, so maybe that's part of the reason I feel that way. So that definitely factors in. But here's what's really stood out to me. This is why I recorded this. It's because I just get a little upset because I'm a big fan of Ben Affleck's work as an actor. Every movie I've ever seen him in, he's very much impressed me. And it just kind of pisses me off because I think there's an alternate universe where he is like Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale level, where he is like, let's do the Leonardo DiCaprio IMDb, right? My mom and I have talked about this for years. Leonardo DiCaprio basically has never missed since The Island. If you look at let me run down his movies. Here we go. We're going to go from everything post What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Are you ready for this? So he does What's Eating Gilbert Grape in 93. Very young, right? Then he does The Basketball Diaries. He does The Quick and the Dead. Total Eclipse, I've never heard of, I will admit. Then he does Romeo and Juliet, Marvin's Room, Titanic, Man in the Iron Mask, Celebrity. Never heard of Celebrity. Don't know if that's any good. It's a Woody Allen film. Probably not terrible. I'm assuming not terrible. The Beach. That's what it's called, not The Island. The Island's that movie that Michael Bay made. The Beach, yes. The Beach is apparently like his worst movie. And Don's Plum, which I've never heard of either. From then on, he genuinely hasn't made a bad movie. Gangs of New York, obviously not beloved, but not bad by any means. Catch Me If You Can, The Aviator, The Departed, Blood Diamond, Body of Lies, Revolutionary Road, Shutter Island, Inception. The J. Edgar Hoover movie might be a rare miss. That might be the rare miss. Then Django Unchained, Great Gatsby, Wolf of Wall Street, The Revenant, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Don't Look Up, Killers of the Flower Moon. Insane run. Absolutely insane run. And he's going to be in Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie. Okay? That's the run DiCaprio's been on. Where he has basically made what? Since Gilbert Grape, he's been in maybe 5 movies that aren't very good. That's it? It's an insane run. Let's go to Christian Bale. Because I feel like Christian Bale has been the Kobe to... He has been the Kevin Durant to LeBron. Oh my gosh. I feel like Christian Bale's been the Kevin Durant to Leonardo DiCaprio's LeBron. Sorry, guys. I'm getting so emotional already. I'm getting excited here. So let's go from American Psycho for Bale, right? He does American Psycho. Then he's in Shaft. Yes, like the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft movie. What's weird, right? Captain Corneli's Mandolin, Laurel Canyon, Reign of Fire, Equilibrium, The Machinist, Harsh Times, Howl's Moving Castle, Batman Begins, The New World, Rescue Dawn, The Prestige, 3:10 to Yuma, I'm Not There, The Dark Knight, Terminator Salvation, Public Enemies, The Fighter, The Flowers of War, The Dark Knight Rises, Out of the Furnace, American Hustle, Exodus Gods and Kings, Knight of Cups, The Big Short, The Promise, Hostiles, Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, where he voices Bagheera, Vice, Ford vs. Ferrari, Thor Love and Thunder, Amsterdam, The Pale Blue Eye, and The Boy and the Heron. Yes, I did put his voice performances in here also. You're like, okay, Ryan, he's got a decent amount of misses in there. Yes, he does. But he gets to some high highs, right? I haven't seen Vice, but obviously he apparently is very good in that. I love Ford vs. Ferrari. My mother enjoyed Amsterdam. I didn't watch it. The Big Short, obviously excellent. American Hustle, heard nothing but good things about that. The Dark Knight trilogy, obviously massive for him. The Prestige, 3:10 to Yuma. The Machinist, my mom was really into. Equilibrium, my mom was really into. My mom's seen a lot more Bale than I have. Point is, Bale has very much found like I will pop into a movie and I will deliver an excellent performance. Kind of pisses me off about Ben Affleck is I think there's an alternate universe where he has that career. I think there's an alternate world where he was on that level. Now I know it's very public that he said some drug problems. It's very well known. That's why him and Garner split. Maybe that factors in. But it just kind of upsets me because let's look at his run after Good Will Hunting, okay? And so it's like Good Will Hunting. He's in this movie called Phantoms, but you got to think Good Will Hunting would be filming around the time that is. So then he's in Armageddon. He's in Shakespeare in Love. He was actually offered the lead role, but then they were like, no, because you're not English. 200 Cigarettes, Forces of Nature, Dogma, Boiler Room, Reindeer Games. He was the voice of Joseph in Joseph, King of Dreams. Bounce, Pearl Harbor, Daddy and Them, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Changing Lanes, The Sum of All Fears, that's his Jack Ryan movie, The Third Wheel, Daredevil, that Giggly movie, or Jiggly, whatever, the one where he's with J-Lo and it's apparently terrible. Never watched it, but it's apparently awful. I mean, it worked out for him, though. He ended up being with J-Lo for a while, so I mean, it might have been worth the bad movie. Paycheck, Jersey Girl, Surviving Christmas, Man About Town, Clerks 2, Hollywoodland. Apparently, he's very good in that. I've seen clips of him in that. He looks excellent in that. Smoking Aces, He's Just Not That Into You. What the hell is that? Is he in a rom-com? Ben. Oh, my gosh. I love rom-coms, but what are we doing? State of Play, Extract, The Company Men. And then he's like, okay, 2010 is hit. Let me lock in. He makes The Town, Argo, To the Wonder, I don't know what the hell that is. Runner, I don't know what the hell that is. Gone Girl. Then he gets caught up being Batman, which I actually think was a good choice for Batman. It just sucks that those movies aren't good. I honestly would love for James Gunn to bring him back to be Batman. They're not going to do that, though. He doesn't want that. They don't want that. I think a lot of people in the world don't want that. I just wish he would have been in a better Batman. A lot of people are like, oh, if only Henry Cavill had a better Superman, scripts to work with. I think Henry Cavill's great. I understand when he was cast Superman. I think Corn Sweat, honestly, looks like, in my brain, he's literally Superman. I think Cavill's similar, but I honestly think he looks a little too, he's almost too chiseled in the face. But that's just me personally. I think Corn Sweat has a nice, I'm chiseled, but I have a very soft smile, whereas Cavill has a harsh smile. This is super picky. I don't understand that, but I'm a big Superman guy. To me, the DCEU casting that really bothers me is Affleck as Batman, because I actually think that was money. I actually really like that. It's a very different direction. I like the broad shoulder, big look of Affleck for Batman, and it sucks that the movies aren't any good. It actually sucks, and it pisses me off. So he's in those, he's in Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad. He makes The Accountant, which a lot of people like The Accountant. It's apparently pretty good. I should probably watch The Accountant. It's probably something I should get done. My grandpa watched it and was like, yeah, it's real violent. So Grandpa Dick warned me. He makes Live by Night, which I'm very interested by. It's one of his movies he's directed. It's about Prohibition era Boston gangsters. He directed and wrote that. Anything he directs, I'm interested in. So I need to watch that. He was in a movie called Triple Frontier. Never heard of that. He was in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. The Last Thing We Wanted. Never heard of that. Looks awful. Looks like a B movie. He's in The Way Back, that basketball movie he made. Then he's in The Last Duel. He's in Deep Water, The Tender Bar, Clerks 3, Hypnotic, which was the new Rodriguez movie. Oh my gosh, what's that guy's first name? The guy who made he's Robert Rodriguez. He's friends with Quentin Tarantino. That guy. And then he was in Air, which I really like him in Air. I was like, yeah, he's so good as Phil Knight. I loved his performance. And he's in this movie called This Is Me Now. What the hell is this? It's a pop musical that went straight to Prime. Oh, it's basically a movie for J-Lo's album. Oh, well, he had to do that for personal reasons. I understand. Jane Fonda's in that? What the hell? Okay, whatever. Now he's working on The Accountant 2. That's what he's currently working on. And we got this movie that apparently he's going to be in called RIP. It's about a group of Miami cops that discovers a stash of millions of cash, leading to distrust as outsiders learn about a huge seizure, making them question who to rely on. Well, I've seen Rebel Ridge, and it was pretty okay, so maybe, Oh, wait a minute. This movie might be good. Him and Matt Damon are teaming up for it, and Kyle Chandler's in it. So actually, never mind. This actually sounds cool. I'm actually kind of excited for that. Who is this director, though? I don't really like the title RIP, though. It's kind of Really? I don't know. The director is Joe Carnahan. He made anything. Oh, he made that Smoking Aces movie he was in. He also made the reboot of The A-Team. This is not the best. He directed 3 episodes of Blacklist. His last movie was a movie called Cop Shop. Looks like a B movie. Let's just hope this is when he steps it up, right? Because that kind of sounds cool. Just because, it sounds like a pretty straightforward movie. Nothing too wild, but nothing too creative. I'm saying it's very similar to Rebel Ridge. But so Affleck's next movie, though, is he's making a remake of Witness for the Prosecution, which is based off a play written, the short story and play by Agatha Christie. There was a movie of it made in the 1950s. All right, I'll look and see who starred in it, if there's any names we know. Charles Laughton, Tyrone Power, Marlene Dietrich. Those are the names. I don't know any of them. It's very old Hollywood people. I don't know a ton of people from old Hollywood. But there you go. But Affleck's next movie he's directing is Witness for the Prosecution. So he is currently working on that. Let's look at the movies he's directed. So he made Gone Baby Gone. I need to watch that. That's the one that Casey stars in. Casey's obviously very good. Oh, John Ashton's in that? Rest in peace, John Ashton. I love John Ashton. Beverly Hills Cop legend. Oh, this does look pretty interesting. Okay. Oh, it's Boston. You got to love it. Casey Affleck, King of Boston. Then he makes The Town, which is obviously very famous. Big movie from him. Then he did Argo. He won the Oscar. Live by Night. We talked about that before. I need to watch that. And then Air was his last project. So I just ran through his entire IMDb. Would you say, oh my gosh, he was in the 1992 movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was just like an unnamed basketball player. That's wild. One of Christy Swanson and Donald Sutherland. Wow, that's insane. That's funny. Okay. I would say it's a weird career because I feel like everyone knows Ben Affleck, but he's been in some movies like Runner, where he plays Ivan Block. Here's the plot. When a poor college student who cracks an online poker game goes bust, he arranges a face-to-face with the man he thinks cheated him, a sly offshore entrepreneur. 36 Metascore. 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Stars Justin Timberlake, Anthony Mackie, Ben Affleck. This sounds like a movie that would be, halfway through the crime section on Netflix. I guarantee my grandpa's watched this one night, and it's like uber forgettable and not that good. And I just kind of makes me mad. Like the whole point of this podcast, the main point of this is literally just me saying, like, it pisses me off that he's just had such a weird career. Now, granted, as I said, it's been documented he had some drug issues. Hopefully he's doing better. Maybe Affleck, needed the money, and that's why he's been in some of these weirder movies. I understand that. Maybe that's why he's in this movie, The Last Thing He Wanted, where he plays Treat Morrison. This is a straight-to-Netflix movie about a veteran DC journalist who loses the thread of her own narrative when a guilt-propelled errand for her father thrusts her from byline to unwitting subject in the very story she's trying to break, adapted from Joan Didion's namesake novel. 35 Metascore, 4.4 out of 10 on IMDb. Stars Anne Hathaway, Rosie Perez, Willem Dafoe, and Ben Affleck. Toby Jones also making an appearance. This is great. This was the first piece of trivia. He replaced Nicolas Cage. Think of all the whack-ass shitty movies that Nicolas Cage has been in. And, Ben Affleck took his role. It just upsets me because he was typecast as like the bully character because he had that chiseled jawline. Like, think about how he looks in Good Will Hunting. Like, he's got that jawline. He's kind of got the like Vince Vaughn long face jawline look. He's like a more handsome Vince Vaughn. He's got broad shoulders. Like, he's kind of bigger to him, and he was typecast as a bully, right? I think he honestly could have had a really, really interesting career doing, I don't exactly know how, because the thing is DiCaprio's the good guy a lot, right? And even if he's not like a good guy, he plays the very like, I'm an over the top crazy person, right? Like Wolf of Wall Street or Django Unchained, where he's a bad guy. He's like very flamboyant. What's really impressive to me about Affleck is how understated he can be. And Bale can do this too. And this is why I don't understand why Ben Affleck didn't have a bigger career. Because to me, he is so good at the understated. Like, watch Gone Girl. He makes that movie. Because Rosamund Pike is throwing 95 miles an hour, and he's coming as reliever, and he's just throwing nothing but change up and curves. And it's a complete difference from her just fastball, fastball, fastball. She is going 100% fastball, off the walls, crazy. And he plays it so understated that he's a normal guy who didn't murder his wife. And you still don't really like him. Like, he's got the crazy-ass wife that's a murderer. Like, she literally kills Doogie Howser. And you're like, yeah, but I really don't like Nick either. Like, you don't really feel that bad for him. Because he's that good at being understated and dislikable. Now, granted, he can be very likable, too. We've seen him in likable roles. But he's got this kind of asshole-ish thing to him. But when he was Batman, I actually thought he did a good job being likable. He could be very likable. I mean, that's why he was a star of Pearl Harbor. And Michael Bay saw something to him. I just think it's weird. Like, his career is more Mark Wahlberg than it is Leonardo DiCaprio. That just kind of makes me mad. Because it should have been a lot more DiCaprio, Christian Bale. Like, I'm doing difficult role. I'm getting with big directors who want me to give an intense performance. Like, you know what? We're just going to pull up Matt Damon, right? Because I think Damon actually has done a better job in his career than Ben. And that just... Let's go to Damon, right? Damon's been in some random stuff. Sure. Right? Let's go. But you look through, he's in Saving Private Ryan right after Good Will Hunting. Rounders. Already 2 movies that are better than most of the stuff Ben Affleck's worked on. Okay? Yes, he's in some random stuff like The Legend of Bagger Vance, All the Pretty Horses, but like Stuck on You, he plays Bob Tenner. It's just a random movie with him and Greg Kinnear. It's like a buddy comedy movie. And Ben Affleck's been in some random stuff. He has one of the best cameos ever in Euro Trip. But he's got the Bourne trilogy. He's in the Oceans movies. He's in The Departed. He's in Interstellar. Invictus, I've heard good things about. Never watched. True Grit. Contagion. We Bought a Zoo was really fun. The Monuments Men. He's got The Martian, right? The Martian's excellent. Yeah, does he do some random stuff? Like he was in The Great Wall. He was in Downsizing. He was in Suburbicon. Yeah, that is a little bit random, right? But then he's in Ford vs. Ferrari. He's in Oppenheimer. I mean, a massive role in Oppenheimer. He's made some random movies too, right? But his highs are significantly higher. If you said top 5 Affleck movies, right? This is what we're going to do. This is actually very simple. We're going to go to their known for on IMDb, right? Here we go. Known for Matt Damon. Talented Mr. Ripley, The Martian, The Departed, Good Will Hunting. Okay. Affleck. Argo, The Town, Gone Girl, Good Will Hunting. Obviously, Good Will Hunting, he wrote. The Town, he wrote. Argo, he made. Gone Girl's the only one of those that he isn't directly involved in that he gets to deliver an epic performance that he's known for. If we're looking at Affleck's movies that he's acted in, that he didn't make, he is not involved in making, that it's like he's known for, it's like The Accountant, which, as I said, I probably should watch. Gone Girl. That Hollywoodland performance is pretty famous. People obviously know him from Daredevil and Batman, even though those movies aren't the best. I actually enjoyed that Daredevil movie, but this State of Play movie has a 7.1 on IMDb, but I've never heard of it. And it is a conspiracy thriller movie he made with Russell Crowe. And it looks like it'd be in the bargain bin at Meijer. And that's kind of it for him. Maybe you're a big Shakespeare in Love fan. Or Armageddon, I guess, is another big one for him, right? But that's kind of it. There's not been... Like, if you look at Damon, it's like every 3 movies, he's got something pretty good that you like. Affleck, you look at it, it's like every 10-ish. If you're not counting the ones he makes. When he makes a movie, they're not bad because he's the director and he's writing. That's when they're good. And it's just so frustrating to me. I mean, Affleck's getting up there in age. What is he? All right, so he's born in 72. That's easy math. Right now, he's 52. He's getting into he's got about 10 more years before he's now playing older guy roles. Maybe 15 if he ages well. And it's like his leading man status, he's kind of passed him by and doing Batman and just, before that in the late 2000s, like he's just in random shit. And he really like revived his career by making his own movies with himself, like The Town and Argo. And then he got him in Gone Girl with Fincher, which if I'm an actor, I'm working with Fincher ASAP. And he doesn't, I don't think The Killer's that great, but Fassbender's good in it because you get to work with Fincher. That's how it works. So you work with Fincher, he's going to make you look good. It's like being set up by Chris Paul. So yeah, it's just, that's the whole point. The entire point of this podcast is basically me, within the last, 2 years, I've discovered that I'm kind of a big fan of Affleck, and it just kind of makes me upset. He never got to be as good of an actor as I thought he could be. Like, let's think about Travolta, right? Like, Travolta bursts on the scene, has Saturday Night Fever and Grease, and then he kind of peters out, and Tarantino loves him in Blowout. Cult classic. And Tarantino says, I'm going to revive your career. And he does. Puts him in Pulp Fiction, revives his career. Travolta then has a second career run and gets to be in like Broken Arrow and Face Off. And I think Three Men and a Baby is in that range. And he, like, not that Three Men and a Baby is like critically acclaimed, but he gets like a second career run where he's Travolta again, and people are going to his movies, going to see him. And it's like with Affleck, he's just kind of existed. That's like the worst, is he never really had that run where he was like top of the world. I think the argument would be, okay, well, he had the Town to Argo run, and that was his top of the world run. And it's like 3 years. I think there was like a McConaughey range for him to be in. And it's just maybe it's the fact that he comes off as a bit douchey and you kind of got to make him a bad guy. But like, why couldn't have he ever been like a villain in like a Mission Impossible? Right? Why could he not have been a villain in like The Bourne? Like why didn't we ever do that? Like I don't get it. Like look at what McConaughey's done since he's had his like career renaissance. So he goes in Mud, Magic Mike, Dallas Buyers Club, Wolf of Wall Street, True Detective, Interstellar. Just an insane run here. Sea of Trees, have no interest in watching. Free State of Jones, I've heard mixed things on that, I will say. Then he does some animated work. He's in this movie called Gold, which I've never heard of. Oh, that looks weird. Huh. Dark Tower, White Boy Rick, Serenity. I mean, there's some misses here, right? But it's like The Gentleman, great. And he's great in it. Like, since he's had his career resurgence, he's made some stuff that really sticks out. I mean, there was there was like a 5-year period here where he just couldn't miss. I mean, Lincoln Lawyer, excellent. I really like The Lincoln Lawyer. I really need to watch Mud. Dallas Buyers Club wins the Oscar. Wolf of Wall Street, obviously excellent. He's excellent in it. True Detective, amazing. Interstellar was like the peak of that run. Interstellar was like what he was building to. And he had his great rom-com run. He's in The Wedding Planner. He's in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I really love Sahara. He's so good in Sahara. We Are Marshall, Fool's Gold. Fool's Gold, not the best. Not a big Fool's Gold fan. but it's still a fun movie. There's fun to be had. It's just bad Sahara, and that kind of really bad Sahara. So, well, I kind of had this run where it's like I'm uber charismatic and I can play a lot of different roles, and we never got that run from Affleck. It's just, and I guess maybe the thing is, it's like he's maybe, like I said, maybe he's a little too dickish, and he kind of has to be a bad guy. But I look at somebody like Adam Driver, who's the same way. Adam Driver's been in some major films, and you're like, oh, well, Megalopolis isn't any good. I understand that. I haven't seen Megalopolis. I actually was thinking about going today, and I looked to see when the times were. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go for the next couple days. And the closest theater to me literally had their last showing last night. And I was like, well, this is the Lord telling me not to see it, that it's not good, and that I shouldn't waste my time. Like, this is a sign from God that I should not go. So I'm not going. Maybe I'll watch it when it streams. But Driver's got to work with Michael Mann. Driver's got to work with Ridley Scott. Driver's got to work with some major, major talents. And he's going to be in Heat 2 most likely. And so I just don't understand why it never really happened for him. And it just kind of frustrates me. And like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, he should have been this role in this movie in this year. Because, like, that's just, I don't know. There's like a million things that go into that. I mean, like I said, maybe this was his agent's fault. Maybe it was his fault. Maybe he's a pain in the ass to work with. Maybe he does really have a really bad drug problem. Who knows? But from where I sit, it bothers me because I really like his performances in every movie I've seen him in. I always think he does a great job. I think he steals most scenes he's in. I think Damon's really good. But the reason Damon works so well in The Departed is because when your brain sees Damon, he just seems like a nice, normal guy. That's why he's hardly ever a bad guy. Because he's very likable, and he just seems like he'd be somebody you know normally. He seems like a normal person. So people like Matt Damon. And Affleck has that, but he can be a villain. Like, that's why Departed works so well, is because Scorsese's playing with the idea that you like Matt Damon, you think he seems nice. Whereas Affleck, he's just got a little more dickish to him, right? And I think that could have been interesting. That could have been played with, and that could have been used more. And that's what Fincher plays with. Fincher does a really good job playing with that in Gone Girl. And I just wish more directors recognized Affleck's talent. I mean, Casey's had an excellent career. I think Casey has literally done what I wanted Ben to do. Like, Casey's been doing this shit. Like, Casey made himself, and maybe that's what he should have done, is doing the Casey thing. Casey's like, I'm a character actor, and I will just play character parts. I mean, he pulls up an Oppenheimer, throws 100 miles an hour, comes in like a closer. Like, he's doing Mariano Rivera stuff in Oppenheimer. And it's awesome. Like, that's what Casey Affleck does. He'll just roll up. Now he's in some random movies. And he's in this movie called The Old Man and the Gun, never heard of, Ghost Story. Like, he does a lot of smaller random stuff. But he'll roll up in a movie, and he'll just kill it. And he rolls up in Interstellar. It was awesome for like 10 minutes. And so maybe, I mean, obviously Manchester by Sea, watched like half that movie because some friends were watching it, and I was only paying half attention, but he's really good in that. And I just, yeah, man. Maybe he needed to do more of that. I guess my thought is, like, Colin Farrell has had an interesting run, but he's got to work in The Gentleman. He's got to be in he got to be the lead in True Detective. Right now, he's obviously having a big run because he's awesome in The Penguin Show, and he's great in The Batman. And obviously, he was also in Daredevil with Ben Affleck, but he has that awesome performance in Miami Vice. I mean, I love him. He makes Miami Vice. In Bruges or Burgess, however you pronounce that, always heard great things about it. He's really good in that. He's been in some interesting stuff, and I'm thinking of all these guys. I'm like, they've just, I don't know. Like, what's the Affleck performance? Is it Gone Girl? Is that the one? Or is it other than a movie he's made? I'm saying it's just sad to me that it feels like the only movies that take full breath of his talent are the movies he's made. Now, granted, I should say, maybe I need to watch The Accountant, get on that. Maybe I need to do that. But I'm willing to bet the accountant isn't going to do it for me. I'm willing to bet and be like, So, yeah. That's kind of the whole point here. Is it's just kind of like, damn. Now, Keanu Reeves is 8 years older than Ben Affleck. There's a chance that there is a John Wick type thing for him. Not like literally John Wick. But I'm saying there's a John Wick type film coming for him that like reinvigorates him. And that would be awesome. I don't see it. Like another act, I think, okay, this is what I'm going to compare him to. Brad Pitt. I love Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is awesome. Kills it in every movie. Brad Pitt is in Fight Club and Seven. He does 2 Fincher movies. Always a great move from an actor perspective. Fincher will never do you wrong. Cooks in both movies. Iconic performance in Fight Club. So good that people misinterpret it and think he's the hero of the story. Me included, for what it's worth. I know he's bad. I know Tyler Durden's bad, but he is it's such an entertaining performance that it almost tricks you into liking him, even though you know he's not. You know he's bad, but a part of you, he's just so damn charismatic, and he's so interesting, right? And he's in Snatch. He's obviously huge in Ocean's 11. Because the thing is, he's cooking in Ocean's 11. Damon's good in Ocean's 11. Don't get me wrong, but Pitt and Clooney are who are making that movie. They're the guy. Clooney's performance and Pitt's performance are the 2 most important performances in that movie. Damon's good, but I forget about him most time because Pitt and Clooney are just cooking in those movies. Like that's what they do. And then he got to work with Christopher Nolan. Sorry, he got to work with Quentin Tarantino. Does Inglourious Bastards. He's great in Moneyball. That's the type of movies that Ben Affleck never made. He never made your movies like Moneyball, where it's like, hey, I'm just going to roll up in this drama. I'm going to give an excellent performance, and I'm going to walk out. He's doing these like dumbass like B-movie action movies, and it just pisses me off. Whereas Brad Pitt is like, okay, I'm going to do World War Z, kind of a dumbass action movie, but I'm going to cook in it. And apparently my sister loves that movie. I have no interest, but apparently it's pretty good. So that's what Pitt's done a really good job at, is he will just roll up into a drama and give it his all and walk out. And I don't understand why Affleck never did that. That's what Casey does. That's what Pitt does. It's mostly what Damon does. And I don't understand why we never got that. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. My ideal role, you're like, okay, Ryan, you're bouncing around a lot. Would you want him to be like a lead that's like, you want to be a good guy, charismatic? What's stretch him, right? Like, let's make him a very nice person. Let's make him do that role. See if he can do it. And then make him like some evil bad guy role and try him like that. Like, let's see what he can do. Let's push him to do something more like different, because I feel like we've just kind of lost and just kind of done the same thing. We haven't really pushed him to his limits, and I think he can really do something interesting instead of just like, I'm moody, because that's kind of what they do. Is they just do him moody, or they just do him as generic businessman bad guy. And I just wish we were getting more out of him. That's all I want. So, yeah, I mean, you say, all right, what type of things you want? I would want a Lincoln Lawyer type movie from Affleck. That's what I would love to see, where this is a drama. It's pretty straightforward, but I am in it, and I am the charismatic lead, and I carry this. That's what I would love to see from him. I want to see that movie from him. I want to see a Lincoln Lawyer style movie that way. I would love to see him do a Knives Out style movie where I'm a smaller character role here, but I'm cooking, like the way that everybody in Knives Out does, right? If Ryan Johnson pulled him for a Knives Out movie, like any of the ones with Benoit Blanc, I would be so excited because he would do something interesting with him. And then it's like, if I'm him, I'm trying to work with Fincher again. It's like, what can I do for you? Whether it's a small role or whether I'm the lead again. Those to me are what I want to see. I need to see more Challenger-style swings from Affleck, where this is a drama, and I'm giving an excellent performance, and it's so entertaining with that it now becomes a big movie. Because that's what makes Challenger so good. Challenger is one of my favorite movies from this year. I honestly starting to think it's going to be a Hall of Fame. love challengers. And it's because Zendaya literally is like, yeah, I'm a superstar. I'm going to give a superstar performance along with this director who's going to pair with me well, make a damn entertaining, weird-ass drama, and we're going to make these other two actors look like studs just by being around me. And that's exactly how that movie works. Affleck doesn't do those type of movies. And I don't know why. Why are you doing these shitty, weird B movies? It just makes me so mad. And I want him to... And maybe his new movie with Matt Damon's going to be good, that crime movie. Maybe they're going to cook in it. And maybe his new Agatha Christie adaptation, remake of that 50s movie is going to be great, and he's going to cook in it. That would be awesome. And we're going to see this resurgence. But for the time being, it just frustrates me because I think he really has an alternate career where he is just rolling into movies, giving excellent character performances, walking out, and then occasionally being the charismatic lead or like the two to another charismatic lead and being like a villain. And we never got that. And that's just kind of disappointing. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's all from me. Like I said, most random episode ever. Hopefully this made sense. Hopefully somebody sees what I'm saying. That's it. All right. Thank you all. I will catch you again soon for baseball talk. And then we'll do NFL. And we got NBA next week, too. So it'll be big time. Thank you.